What's up guys, it's Kristen here today with my review of The Butcher's Hook by Janet Ellis. This is historical fiction and it is Janet Ellis's first novel, and I was sent this for review by House of Anansi Press. And initially, of course, I was drawn in by this absolutely gorgeous cover. I mean, let's just take a moment to admire it. I can't even. And then it's got these gorgeous French flaps with these beautiful end papers. Oh my goodness. And lucky for me, the book itself is just as beautiful as this cover. I know, I'm just gonna say it straight off. You don't have to hold your breath or anything. I absolutely loved The Butcher's Hook. But I am also going to be very careful in not giving any spoilers away. First because obviously this is a newer release book, so not that many people have read it yet, but also because going into it I had very different expectations and it took this completely different turn. I mean, maybe I should have guessed the way it was gonna go, but I didn't, so this will definitely be a spoiler-free review. So this book is set in London in the summer of 1763, and it follows the main character, Anne Jacobs, who is 19 years old, and she is from a rather wealthy family, but it is also an incredibly sad household because her little brother years before died, and then subsequently her mother had a lot of miscarriages and stillborns, and at the beginning of the book she has given birth to a new baby, but it was a girl, so not exactly what they were hoping for. And at the same time, Anne being 19 years old, she is now of marriageable age, and her father has told her that she must marry a man who is much older than her and also a pretty odious person, not somebody that she wants to be around. So naturally Anne is not exactly happy in her life and all of the confines that society puts on her, that she can't make her own choices in life. But then one day she meets the butcher's apprentice, a very young, handsome man, and she is just immediately infatuated with him. He is also very attracted to her, but of course, him being of such low standing in society, there isn't really a possibility of them being together, but Anne does not seem to care about that fact. She has made up her mind that she wants to be with him, and she will find any way to make that happen, which then sets off this series of events and choices that Anne makes that are questionable, to say the least. I just could not put the book down from there because I had to know what was going to happen next. I had to see what the outcome of these choices would be. And speaking of the character of Anne, I absolutely loved her. She is morally ambiguous, to put it lightly, but because it's in this first-person narration style and you're in her head, you see how she rationalizes the choices that she makes and how she would believe that those were the only options that were left to her as a girl in her position and standing in society at the time. The entire tone of the book is slightly dark and very gritty, the title being The Butcher's Hook, obviously. There is a lot of scenes that take place at the butcher's and a lot of scenes of blood and meat and death and gore, which again was one of the things that I did not expect going into it. Maybe I should have, given the title. Janet Ellis's writing is absolutely gorgeous. She brings this London to life. You can imagine that you're the one walking down the streets, and the writing is just incredibly visceral. There are scenes that are completely stuck in my mind, whether I want them to be or not anymore. I really appreciated the ultra-realistic portrayal of London, which it would have been like at the time, with the muddy streets and all the crowdedness and the smells, the diseases, the really cumbersome outfits they had to wear, and it makes you very appreciative that you live in 2016. And in that vein, the characters themselves are incredibly real and fleshed out, and it doesn't matter if it was decades ago or centuries ago, people were still people. They still had the same thoughts and feelings. Just because infant mortality rates were very high at the time, that doesn't mean that Anne or her parents take the death of her little brother or any of the miscarriages lightly. And I love how there were these brief moments when Anne could see what her parents used to be like, or what they could be like if they weren't just shrouded in grief all of the time. And the same goes for Anne, that even though it was very common for young women to be put in arranged marriages with older men, it doesn't mean that she's okay with this happening to her. And in the end, I was just left wanting more. I wanted to stay with these characters. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to find out what was going to happen to them next, which is obviously the sign of a great book in any case, but especially for me because I tend to be the most critical in saying that a lot of books feel too long to me, but this was just absolutely perfect. And I can't believe that I used to always say that I was not a big fan of historical fiction. I mean, when it's done right, it is amazing. I need more of it in my life now. And if any of you have already managed to get your hands on this book and you've already read it, I would love to hear your thoughts, or if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about it, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!